Hey y'all, so welcome back to Naturally Vanessa, and today we are going to do a home segment. I'm going to show you some specific things in my home with regards to the topic that we are going to discuss, and we're just going to talk about how to make your home cleaner when you have this particular item in your home, and we're just going to get right into it. So today we are going to talk about rugs, something that a lot of people have in their homes, and people don't realize how toxic they may be. So we're going to talk about how to choose the right ones and to try to keep your home as clean and safe as you can for you and your children. So let's talk about when we buy a new item. We get that new item smell, right? And a lot of times we get excited because we're like, oh, like it's that new car smell, or it's that new carpet smell, or whatever that new item is. But what a lot of people don't realize is that new smell is not a good thing. It's a sign of the chemicals that are being released, and you are smelling it, meaning you are inhaling it, and it is going into your body. Because what happens is when you get new items, the chemicals that they use to make that item or to put it together, or if it's like a finishing lacquer that they put on it, or a spray, or whatever the item is, it gives off a smell, and that smell is a smell of toxins that are being released that you can actually smell. And what happens is sometimes there are things that are being released into the air that you actually don't smell because you've already been desensitized. You've already gotten so used to that smell that you don't even notice it anymore. And we may think that the smell is gone, and that means that the item is now safe, and that's not necessarily the case. It's shown that some items can continue to let off gas months and even years after they've been bought. So when you hear that, it can sound kind of scary and it can sound kind of uncomfortable and make you think, well, then what do I do? And so we are going to talk about that today. All right, so what's the issue with rugs? Why am I saying that some rugs can be toxic? So in general, many rugs bring unwanted toxins into your home because a lot of them are made of synthetic materials like polypropylene and nylon, which are made from petroleum and which are filled with toxic chemicals. Now, some of these chemicals range from like synthetic rubber, which are made from ingredients like phthalates, which we've talked about in a previous video. And remember, those are known to be endocrine disruptors, which can disrupt your whole hormonal system. Other chemicals in these items include toxic dyes, toxic glues, and adhesives, which contain formaldehyde. There's flame retardant chemicals. And some of these things are treated with like pesticides and other chemicals to make them stain resistant, water repellent, moth proof, and so on. So there's a lot of chemicals that are used in just one particular product for many different reasons, like I mentioned. Not only to put the product together, to make it resistant to certain things so that it can last longer, to give it a certain look, a certain feel, and so on. But these things, unfortunately, put our health at risk. Now, when shopping for items, I see rugs that are absolutely beautiful. But then when I go and I look at the materials and what it's made of, I see what it's made of, and then I just have to let it go. Why? Because I have specific health goals for myself and my family, and I have some things that are a deal breaker and some things that I'm willing to work with a little bit. So because my family and I had suffered from allergy symptoms to the point where things would get pretty extreme, myself, and I started to notice it in my kids, I try to keep the air in my home as clean as possible because a lot of these things, when they're releasing chemicals, they can irritate your eyes, they can bring about allergy symptoms, respiratory symptoms. So if you're someone with specific health conditions, or you or your children are having specific symptoms that are allergy or respiratory related, sometimes it's worth looking into what do you have in your home that is exacerbating this or that may be bringing it on. And that's where I can help. Okay, so back to the rugs. So we know that there's different types of rugs. Some are made of synthetic materials like the polypropylene and nylon, like I mentioned. And then there are some that are made of natural fibers. These natural fibers or materials include wool, jute, cotton, hemp, and so on. Now, they can still add a few like toxic chemicals into the mix, but it's not as bad as the synthetic ones, and some of them don't. Because at the end of the day, it depends on what kind of adhesives that they're putting in the back. It depends on if they're putting any finishing touches to make it, stain resistant, water repellent, and whatnot. But overall, when we're looking at which is safer, we have synthetic and we have natural fibers. Natural fibers when it comes to safety. So if you want a less toxic option, and I'm going to show you some of the rugs that I have in my home and some of the different fibers so that you can get a sense of what they look like and what they may feel like. So when it comes to choosing rugs, these are some of the things that you want to look for. Ideally, you'd want something that is certified organic, but let's be real, a lot of these things tend to be very, very expensive, and some people can't afford it. The second thing you can look for is check to see if it's green gold certified. Green gold certification ensures that the emissions, the chemicals that are being emitted into the air are relatively low, which is putting you at less risk overall. Now, if you don't have any of that information, or you're like, this is still hard, or I can't seem to find anything, then just try to focus on ones that are made out of natural materials, like I mentioned. And these natural materials include these, which I'll put up on the screen. Check the tags, or ask the company, or see if you can get the information to make sure that they don't use flame retardants. See if you can find information on the glues. Are they formaldehyde containing glues? Is that information included in the website? Are you able to find that out? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. If there's specific colors, are they dyed naturally? What are they using to dye it? Is it henna, root bark, etc.? What is the backing of the rug made out of? These are some of the questions that you can begin to ask, and maybe it's all overwhelming for you and you don't know how to ask these questions, or you don't remember, or it seems like it's just too much work. Well, this is where you want to just focus on the main things. So make sure that it's made out of a natural material, natural fibers, like the ones that I mentioned. If everything else I said seems to be too hard, or you're not sure, or you don't even know how to go about finding some of this information out, aim for natural fibers. If you need any further assistance, I am happy to help you. One of the things that I do is I offer consultations. You can take a look at my website, and I kind of walk my clients through what are their goals, what are they looking for, what do they want to accomplish, how do they want to do it, what is the budget looking like, what's the deal breaker, and what are they willing to work around with, or maybe they don't want to part with some of the things that they have, but they want to make the home a little bit cleaner and safer. Then let's talk about the steps and the things that you can incorporate to do that. This is the rug that we have in the living room. Now, it is a wool rug. Wool rugs are beautiful. They last for years and years. They come in different levels of thickness. It's definitely one to consider. Wool rugs do tend to shed, so be mindful of that, that there is a shedding period. Next, in our dining room, we have a cotton rug. This rug tends to be much thinner, but it's definitely one to consider if you're not looking for thickness, if that's not something that matters much to you. In our bedroom, we have a jute rug. I love jute rugs because they're absolutely beautiful. They tend to be a tougher fiber, so if you're looking for something that's very soft under your feet, it may not be it, but this is beautiful. It can go in different rooms in the home. They do shed as well. This one is more kind of like a dirt-like, but we don't worry about it because we keep an air purifier in the room, so we always make sure that the air is clean, even when we're cleaning it. Next, in my youngest's room, we have a vegan leather playmat. Now, what I love about this is it serves not only as a rug for his room, but it's also a playmat for his cars. And it is vegan leather. It is non-toxic, and one of the reasons why I went with it, because it goes with the aesthetic of his room and for the house. I will have all of these linked for you in the description. Also, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me. Check the description below. Like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Share it with somebody else, because knowledge is power, and it's time that we try to educate as many people as we can, because our health is at stake. And there's a lot of different issues that people are dealing with that are preventable. And so it's time for us to get involved, do what we need to do to live the lives that we truly want to live. We want to thrive. We don't want to just merely survive. Until next time.